Has Dehya been redeemed since Fontaine and Fontaine characters? Is she decent now? It seems like I hear nothing but positive things about Dehya recently, and it's kinda nice to see. But as we all know, Dehya was one of the most anticipatedly hated and disappointing characters, I guess you could say, in Genshin history. The randomest standard banner ad and anticipated characters from Sumeru just tossed to the standard banner with an underwhelming kit and weird gimmicks and mechanics that made no sense. It's almost like they deliberately wanted to sabotage this character, and everyone was frustrated. But she seems to be received a lot better these days, so what's going on? So right off the bat, I want to say that I've been using Dehya pretty consistently. She's my most used pyro character at the moment. And whether you're somebody that really focuses on meta numbers or just like the overworld, how convenient and useful characters are and versatile, you know, Dehya is a pretty solid character, especially when you consider that a lot of people are going to get her whether they want to or not. So is she worth building? Yes, she is. If you know how to use her and play to her strengths and utilize her in a way that she is beneficial to your team, she can definitely be useful. And she does synergize extremely well with Fontaine characters. Why this is important is because Fontaine characters are really good, so a lot of people are going to try to pull on them. Even characters like Navia and Chevreuse, who aren't even out yet, are going to synergize with her pretty good as well, being that one of them's an overload user and the other focuses on crystallization and multiple element types, so Dehya's going to fit well with both of them. And as far as Furina, Nouvellette, and Lyney, she goes pretty well with them too, and she could even be used with Risley as well. The thing about Dehya is she is incredibly versatile. I've been using this Virgin team for months now in the Abyss. It's always been really consistent and good, even when Dehya was first released. But, you know, she does have a lot of options when it comes to team comps, like Melt, Overload, Virgin or Hyper Bloom hybrid type teams. She's good on mono pyro teams, and she's great in the overworld, especially when you're swimming and underwater, because she's so tanky and hard to kill. She's really just the perfect character that you can throw in and just tank some hits when you have pretty frail characters. She has decent and consistent pyro application, especially if you use the sacrificial greatsword like I do, because you get 4 uses out of her skill. Her burst is definitely underwhelming. I don't know what they were thinking, but with Furina added and new builds and different options, she can actually be pretty lethal in her burst, and it is a lot of fun to use. Personally, I like to use it just for pyro application sometimes, but she does have a few options. For building, she's pretty straightforward and easy, being HP based, with a few artifact sets that benefit her, like Emblem of Severed Fate, her own signature set, or Tenacity of the Millilith, that can benefit from HP and using your skill to buff your team. Like I said, she's sturdy and great in the overworld for exploration in almost any application, especially with the introduction of Fontaine. I do love that Furina gets stacks passively just from having Dehya the way that she works. Everyone did sort of predict that Dehya was going to work well with Fontaine characters, and they were right. Dehya has realistic constellations that you can obtain, being that she's standard, so at least she'll be a solid lose pity option. But one of the main problems that people have and still do is that for some weird reason they made Dehya's burst not work with a lot of good supports like Yelan and Xingqiu. It just didn't make any sense. Like, I don't really know what they were thinking doing this, if they were trying to nerf her a bit just because she was going to be standard, and I don't think I'll ever understand why she was standard, because we didn't really need another pyro standard. Diluc's pretty solid, but I really think it has less to do with Dehya and more to do with that they wanted one Sumeru standard other than Tangnari being from the desert, and that you can run straight to Sumeru right off the hop when you start this game. So they wanted 2 characters that you could get from Sumeru to entice players that might lose pity to them or gain them really early on to go explore there. That is honestly the only thing that makes sense to me. If you look at Sino, you couldn't really put him as a standard character because he was on the Teyvat trailer. He's more of a novelty character, so you needed someone from the desert and the rainforest. So those 2 characters were really her only options, I guess, to go with if you wanted somebody that you could lose pity to, and then that character you need to farm in the desert. It's not the greatest of reasons, but it's the only one I could think of as to why they would put Dehya on the standard and nerf the shit out of her so much. But like all characters over time, she has aged pretty decently. People find pretty good uses for her. She's on a lot of abyssal teams that do really well. whether it be on floor 12. She's great in the overworld, she's great at farming for bosses, mats, survivability, and overall, I think she will continue to do better within the upcoming characters that she'll synergize with. But what do you guys think? Are you somebody that used Dehya? Did you pull on her banner? Or have you lost pity with her and, found a use for her on one of your team comps? Personally, I do enjoy using her and I do think she's a lot of fun. She's a staple on a lot of teams that I have that need pyro and solid, consistent application, and she is a lot of fun to use. I do wish she was a little bit better, but at the end of the day, you get what you get and you just gotta make the most of it. It seems that a lot of older characters are getting enabled, like Jean, a lot of the healers with Furina, Neuvillette being such a tank. It's nice to have someone like Dehya that you can switch into to absorb some of that damage and take the hits. So like I said, she's coming along. But I'm going to wrap the video up there. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on Dehya. If you think she's, aged at least half decently compared to the abysmal character that we all thought she was when she first came out. Or do you think she's still terrible? Either way, let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching this far. I appreciate you all. Feel free to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. And as always, we'll see you all in the next one. Later.